This is Josh with the Established Facts, and I am here with Brian from TPK Games. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks, man.
Well, we're at PopCon still. We've been doing a bunch of really fun interviews as we've been going along.
Good.
And Jason has talked nothing but good things about you. So
that's because he doesn't really know me.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
What is it you do?
So, we are Total Party Kill Games. We are a independent publisher who writes content for Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Savage Worlds, Shadow of the Demon Lord, and I'm working on my own game system.
I had not heard of Shadow of the Demon Lord, but on top of that, you said your own game system?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, we've got some of our audience, our D&D players. We're significantly Pathfinder players for sure, and we know Jody and Clint Black from the Savage World team because we own 2 of their tables.
Yeah.
So, why do you extend your reach so much?
Well, I think from a business perspective, I can write one classic adventure that really is fun, and then I can make it appeal to a multitude of audiences.
Sure.
With still using one IP, not creating 4 different books.
That's certainly good.
Right.
So what is it about what makes your world's games unique?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So if you harken back to our name, Total Party Kill Games, okay, I write visceral dark fantasy. And what I do is not like outlandish, but what I'm trying to do is kind of like harken back to that OSR feel of danger, of the party needing to work together. You need to use your brain to survive, right?
Okay.
And then when you do survive, you have something memorable to hold on to. You like, hey guys, remember that time we went through the Tomb of Carrickbacks and survived? Can you believe that? You know, like that's what I'm looking for.
Sure.
I want something memorable for people to hold on to.
You know, it's amazing that there's so many players in a lot of instances. I've played with a bunch of them that will like, I don't want my character to die, or they're not used to death. And even with newer systems, Pathfinder 2nd Edition and D&D, having the dying conditions, when you are aiming for more of a difficult and that's going to happen, do you kind of promote that? You need to prepare yourself to die.
I do, yeah. Okay. So number one, I think, let's be real honest, death in 5th edition D&D is not really a thing to worry about too much.
True.
I think the mechanics are biased in the player's favor, and that's okay. Because in your standard game where you want the characters to be superheroes and like do the win, great. But in my games, we turn the dial a little bit more towards challenging. The DC for a death save is 10. I'm sorry, is 15.
Instead of 10.
Instead of 10. And you get to add your constitution bonus. So if you have a high constitution, it mellows out. But if you don't, things get a little sketchy.
Wizards die even easier.
And what I'm aiming for, and I don't even let the other players know how many rounds that character has left, right? So how many saves they make or don't make. Because I don't want the rest of the players to go, he's got 2 more rounds before he is potentially dead. Let's go continue to fight the big bad guy, and then we'll come get Bob later, right?
Right.
No, you need to make a decision because this might be Bob's last gasp, right? And again, I want that fear, that adrenaline, that like excitement out of a game session.
Well, and it was part of the reason I actually was a fan of the adjustment to Pathfinder 2nd Editions by adding the death save, but it goes up for every level of you're dying 1, you're dying 2, you're dying 3, and then, okay, we're cool, but we're wounded 2. You die again, now you're dying 3. Like, I've seen that intense moment happen quite a bit in Pathfinder, but I love the fact that you've taken it even another step.
Absolutely.
So the con score, I might have to steal that. I think that's the con modifier.
It's very good.
That's a good call.
Yes.
Just in general, I like that.
I will be publishing a book of house rules from my table.
Okay.
And at some point, that'll be something to look forward to as well. Because,
so, the established facts, whenever we complete an episode, we come up with an established fact. I'm not saying we're done yet, but when you mention house rules, our very first established fact as a podcast was house rules allow you to cheat legally.
Yes.
Because that's the point, right? Like, you should be having a good time.
Right.
But when you're going for a focus of intensity, it's great to go about it, at least the way you've described it so far. I'm a big fan. What else is it that you do that's different?
Well, let me riff off what you were just saying
Okay.
for just a sec. Whose game are we playing? Is it the guy who wrote the game? Is it the guy who created the game? Is it the company that owns the game who's publishing it today? Or is it my game? Is it your game?
It's a good point.
Right?
It is. It should be the game for the people at the table.
Absolutely. And so house rules to me are you getting the game that you want, getting the experience that you want out of the game, right? And so I don't think that there's a wrong way to play D&D. I hear people play games and sometimes I roll my eyes, but you know what? If they're having fun, that's all that matters.
Yeah. I think I'm completely in agreement. It's an important aspect of what we do at the table. We are we always argue that tabletop role-playing games are not a game. They are collaborative storytelling.
Right.
So with that said, a lot of people who put out their own content find other ways to enhance the storytelling functionality.
Yes.
How is it that how do you add to the ability to tell a story?
Okay, so I have a book called Recovery Dice Options. All right, and real quick, the mechanics work like this. The GM forgets about inspiration all the time, so he no longer has to worry about it.
Okay.
The players get to hold on to that. They choose when they have inspiration.
Okay.
At the cost of spending hit dice.
Ooh.
All right. And this book goes so far as to like create a whole bunch of different things that you can do that are inspiration-like effects, right? So now suddenly the players control all the narrative. Like suddenly you're facing off against 10 orcs. The paladin's like, this is my moment. This is my cinematic moment. I charge headlong in, I spend my 2 hit dice, I do this cool extra ability, and I start mowing down the orcs, you know, right? And that's exactly the kind of thing that you want.
Yeah.
Because it empowers the players.
That's an important phrase too, empowering the players. So many, I'm going to kind of riff on your name.
Yeah.
The TPK games.
Absolutely.
Total Party Kill. There are some game masters that are out to do that. They want to kill the party.
Right.
There are some, like myself, who hates killing the party immensely. And yet, it's an important element, making sure you check your players, how they feel about it, how they feel about death. What's great, though, is for those that are like, you know what, I want this to be the most intense possible game.
Right.
Let's really get into this. I love that you provide an option for that. More rules, more options. Options are good. Options, competition is good for the business.
I agree. So I think OSR games are really, they kind of had that early philosophy of game master versus players. I am there empowering the players, letting them have the game. In fact, half the stuff that comes up in my games, they think up the worst things possible.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's actually better than what I have. We're going with that.
Yeah.
So, of course, I look like the hero because I came up with this amazing dark idea, which was exactly what they were hoping for.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And that back and forth with the game master is incredibly important. Yeah. So, all right, well, you know what? This has been a blast. Where can they find your stuff?
Oh, easily. You can find us pretty much everywhere. Every outlet sells our products, but specifically you can find us on totalpartykill.games.
Totalpartykill.games.
Yep.
I didn't even know there was a .games domain.
Yes,
wow.
Right. And it just works so brilliantly for us.
Sure. Are you do you also provide digital options for people?
Of course. We do PDFs, we do VTT. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Any particular VTT or just multiple?
I think if you buy the files on our website, they're generic enough that you can port them over to Foundry, Roll20, what have you.
Sure.
But of course, I personally happen to like Roll20, so
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, for the established facts, I'm Josh. This is Brian.
Hello.
And thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it, guys.